Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast, your one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat content. So we're doing episode 2. I have Neil back on. So we're going to discuss our predictions before the season started for the Eastern Conference. Part 1, we did a video on our predictions from the West, and then we also went over the playoff bracket, which we'll do today also, Neil, but for the Eastern Conference. So let's take a look at the Eastern Conference standings from last season. So again, I did this in the last video, Neil, where I wanted to show the audience why we made these selections essentially, right? So we used the data and information of how the team performed last season before this current season started, right? So let's take a look at that landscape and see what that looked like real quick. I'm going to share my screen. Let me know once you can see it. See it?
Yep, I see it now.
Okay, so as you can tell, obviously a lot has changed. The Celtics were number 1, Knicks 2, Bucks 3, Cavs were 4. We saw what the Cavs did, which we'll go over obviously now. This season, we're number 1, had a really good year. Magic were number 5, Pacers 6, 76ers 7, and the Miami Heat were 8. So if we look at the standings now, you can see that's changed quite a bit. A lot of the same teams obviously are in the playoffs here, Neil, in the East. There wasn't much parity, but you could see that the Pistons and Hawks, there's 2 teams that have made the top 8. So let's go over our predictions. And so Neil and I, at the beginning of the season, we both picked Boston to be number 1. So we're both incorrect. Were you surprised with that Boston wasn't number 1 this year?
Yeah, a little bit. I think when we talked over the offseason, one of the things was Boston was not going to win the East as decisively as it did last year. I thought they would get a lot more competition. They won a championship. They might coast in the playoffs, blah, 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 whatever. But I didn't think the Cavs would be the team to do that. That was one thing that I got wrong for sure. And it really speaks to what Kenny Atkinson brought to the team and really unlocked a new dimension for them. That's a big thing. A couple other things that I got wrong this year. I did not see the Pistons coming. I don't think you did either. And I thought the Magic would be better than they ended up being. Those were probably the 3 biggest misses that I had from the overall standings, but you could review that for us.
Yeah, I didn't have the Pistons making the playoffs. I didn't have the Hawks making the top 8. I had the Magic up higher, which I think they could have had a chance, but they were derailed by, a lot of teams dealt with injuries, but valid technical excuse. Wagner, missed a decent chunk of time. And then obviously Paolo missed a bunch of time, like 30 games. Franz's brother Mo out for the season, Suggs, out for the season. So if they were all healthy, I think they could have been in better position. But
if they had a different first round path than the Celtics, I might give them a chance to be feisty in the first round. But
yeah,
it is what it is. They couldn't get it done, and they're a flawed team still. They have some issues they need to get corrected.
Yeah. So for number 2, Neil and I both picked. I think we both picked the Knicks. Actually, no. Neil picked the Knicks, and I watched the video, so I have the receipts. That I had a big caveat saying I picked the Sixers if healthy, and I said big if, right? I said because they added Paul George, and on paper we talked about him adding a new element to this team, and being that third option. We both agree that Maxey would be the number 2, and then we talked about Joel Embiid, how he's an MVP caliber player when healthy, if healthy, but he can never be healthy. So that's why I said this, like adding Paul George to that mix with Embiid, who's always hurt. I had a big caveat, but I picked them as number 2, and that looks like the worst picked because they finished 11th, 13th.
24 and 58. God damn, that's wild.
Yeah, I mean, but again, like
Even worse than
Paul George had more podcast episodes than games played. This like
that's worse than the Suns' level of failure, if we're being honest.
yeah, but Paul George and Embiid played like 40 games this year. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's a true factor, right? Like, I'm sure Booker and Durant played many more games. So, you know what I mean? I think like that's if Embiid was healthy, like he's an MVP type guy, right? But he can never stay healthy. So he's cooked. Paul George is completely cooked, obviously, because he's way older. But those are two of the worst contracts in the league. So that was a huge miss. For me, you weren't too far off as the Knicks were third. I picked the Knicks third. You picked the Sixers third. So do you remember that?
I wasn't sure if I picked Milwaukee third or Sixers third. That was probably the one thing I don't remember from when we talked in the offseason.
But for the same reasons, probably why you picked them, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, on paper, the Sixers looked really good in the offseason. They thought they made a big move by getting Paul George. Look where that took them.
Worst contracts in the league with Embiid and Bradley Beal, right? Bradley Beal's contract at least looks better maybe because he can play between those three, right? And he's an injury-prone guy too, so that's wild. So I got one right. I only got one right in the West, which was the Warriors at 7. So hey, already off to a better start. So number 4, Neil picked the Bucks, and I picked the Magic. So that I guess I wasn't crazy. I guess I was 3 spots off. But again, I thought the leap Paolo would have, Franz would have, adding players did they add KCP and a few other players to the lineup? I thought that would be better. And again, I think I could have been closer if there was an injury. So I'm not too upset with that, how it panned out.
I can see the Magic being 4th next year if they get better injury luck and they make a couple improvements. I still think the outline of a legitimate team is there. It's just a lot of things went wrong for them, and they still got a shot. And I would expect them to make the first round.
Yeah, so you and I had the next one swap. So you had the Bucks at 4, so you're one off. I had the Bucks at 5, and you had the Magic at 5. Okay. So you had that in the top 5. So very similar. 6. This is where we were both different. So you had the Pacers at 6, and actually played better and improved this season, which is a little surprising. I didn't expect them to get 50 wins this season. I picked the Miami Heat. So I remember talking about the health. So the Miami Heat were 3 games from the 3rd seed last year as the 8th seed, and they had the most starting lineups, right? Different starting lineups. They had the most clutch games. They had so many injuries. Jimmy missed 25 games. Tyler Hero missed, a bunch of games too, 30 games or more than that. He only played half the season last year, right? So I figured if healthy, they would leap up. But then I didn't realize the Jimmy Butler fucking shit show that was going to happen and him getting suspended for 20 games before he even got traded, right? So that was a shit show. That was wild, right? So I thought they could have improved based on being in the 8th seed last year with significant injuries throughout the season and how close they were to the being a top 3 seed. So that's why I picked them there.
The wild thing is about this, neither of us had the Cavs in the top 6.
We had them at 7 both. Okay, so we were both
pretty
completely wrong. That's our biggest. I mean, that's not our biggest miss. Our biggest miss is both picking the Sixers at 2nd and 3rd. But our second biggest.
Well, those are 2 big misses in tandem.
I mean, the Sixers miss is less big because of the injuries, right? Paul George and Embiid missed a shit ton of time, and then the Sixers tanked. They shut down Maxey basically, right? Eventually they're oh, we don't. Why are we even playing him for the last 10, 15 games, right? So we have an excuse there. We don't have the excuse with the Cavs, right? We just completely missed on that one. So we could use the injury theoretically for why they're that bad. The Sixers, if healthy, should have made at least top 8. Do you agree with that? If Embiid played 70 games or even 60 games, I don't even know how many games he played. Do you remember?
No idea. I don't remember hearing anything about Embiid this entire season.
Yeah, it's like it felt like he didn't even play. Oh, okay, that's why. He played 19 games this year, dude. 19. He played 39 last year. So he played 19 games. That's all she wrote right there, right? Like that's I don't even need to look
Yeah,
at Paul
they
George.
probably started terrible. He came in for the 19 games, nothing happened. Maybe he got injured or they decided to shut him down because it was going nowhere, and then that was it. I mean,
And his knees are cooked. He's cooked. Paul George. Oh yeah, dude. Injuries are it's 100%. They would have been probably a top 6 team. I still think they would have been top 6. Um, Paul George played 41, so he missed half the season, literally, right? Embiid missed the entire season, basically, 19 games. Maxi, guess how many games he played? 52. He
I was going
missed
to
30.
guess in the
He
40s.
missed, I thought he only missed like 10 games. He missed 30. Paul George missed 40. Embiid missed 60. That's it, right? I mean, we're just off on Cavs. How shocked were you that the Cavs played this well? I mean, they played really well 2 seasons ago, right? Weren't they like the number 1 seed or 2 seed 3 seasons ago or whatever it was? I think they were pretty good.
I was shocked the Cavs were this good. It didn't surprise me that they were a top 3 team. I feel like with bringing in Atkinson and their starters healthy, Donovan Mitchell is engaged and locked in. They got Mobley, they got Garland, they got Jared Allen. If they're all on point the entire season, them being a top 3, 4 seed is not surprising. But for them to win 64 games, no. I
Wow.
did not. They're like a 52 win team in my opinion. So they're competing with the Knicks for the 3, and that was probably the best case scenario I could have seen for them.
Yeah, we both have them at 7, so we were way off base. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'm not a believer. Like I'm less of a believer in them than the Thunder, as you know we were talking
Well,
about that.
I think a potential second round matchup against the Pacers Bucks winner, that's actually a really interesting conference semifinals matchup. We'll probably get to that in a minute, but
Yeah,
if we're looking at the playoffs, Pacers Bucks, that's semi interesting first round series, and then the winner gets the Cavs in the second round. I feel like that could be a very interesting series.
for sure. So yeah, to round it out, the 8th, you picked the Heat, I picked the Pacers. So let's see. So you thought the Heat were going to stay the same. I thought the Pacers were going to do a little bit worse, or not a little bit worse. Actually, no, yeah, a little bit worse because they were 6th the season before, right? So I was having them drop a few spots, but we both basically had all of the same teams because none of us, again, picked Detroit. So what are your thoughts on Detroit? Let's talk about them real quick. They're the 6th seed. So what do you think about Cade? What do you think about just that young team? Like they're obviously like a very young team that they, developed through the draft.
Yep.
Added a few veterans like Tobias Harris back on the team, and Malik Beasley, who's been killing it. Like I think he made the second most threes behind Steph Curry this year, which is insane. So, what are your thoughts on the Pistons? I like them. I think they're good.
It speaks to coaching. This is something that happened with Cleveland. They brought in a new coach this year that was super important, and then Cade was healthy. Cade was the number 1 pick for a reason. He had potential. He was a very talented player. Now he got the opportunity to shine, and they brought in a new coach. And as you mentioned, they got some good contributions from Malik Beasley, who's I think a 6-man of the year candidate, and Tobias Harris, and now you're in the 6th seed because the East is so bad, right? So this series against the Knicks is I could see it going 6, 7 games. The Knicks have struggled against good teams, so the Pistons have nothing to lose. So maybe they could take that 6, 7 games. It'll be interesting, but I think the most important thing is coaching and Kate's health, and then they added some really good pieces around to put the team over the top and out of the play-in.
Do you think Cade's gonna be the most improved, and should he be?
Personally, I don't think the first overall pick should ever get most improved. I don't know what your thoughts about that are, because if they were the first overall pick, you already had high expectations for them, right?
Exactly. So it's like
So
I get it, like the semantics of it. but it's
I
like
don't see him as most improved. Did he make a big upgrade in terms of his value and performance? 100%. But most improved is someone that you had no expectations for coming into the league and they surprised you. So I personally don't think Cade Cunningham is a most improved kind of player.
no, you're top five, even top five lottery picks. It's like top three especially. But like you're the number one pick. Like you're supposed to be good. Like it doesn't always pan out, but he was good from the get. Like it wasn't like an Andrew Wiggins kind of scenario. Like Andrew Wiggins was pretty solid his first couple years, and he kind of went downhill. So like I could see a Wiggins perhaps getting a most improved award in theory, like year 4 or something, right? Like because of his trajectory as the number one pick. But Cade like came in hot, like to a certain degree. Like he had a really good rookie year. He had a really good second year. This is his third season, correct?
Not sure. I third or fourth season, something like that.
Whatever, you know what I mean. Like, but his trajectory has been going up as expected for a number one pick. Like, so this is his fourth season. So uh, he averaged 17 points, 5.6 assists, 5.5 rebounds, 1.2 steals per game. His rookie season, right? So solid for a rookie number one pick. The next season after that, 19.9. I'm going to round that up to 20. 20 points per game, 6 assists, 6.2. Steady improvement there. Third season, 23 points per game. I'm rounding up by a little bit. 7.5 assists. Rebounds went down to 4.3, but his points went up every year. His assists went up every year. His 3-point percentage, not the second year, but the third year went up drastically. His 2-point percentage went up drastically in year 3. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, he's obviously improving year by year because he's the best player, right?
As he should. He's the number one pick. He should get better each and every
Now he's
year.
averaging 26, 9, and 6. Like, okay. Like, and I don't want to be biased and say, like, it's Tyler Hero. Like, it could have been Tyler Hero if, I mean, he should be a candidate more so than Cade. He was the 14th pick in the draft. Like, he was at the end of the lottery or outside of it. Or no, he was 13. I think Bam was 14. I always get them mixed up because they're numbers. Bam is uh, number 13, but he's Jersey. But is he 13? Let me look. Yeah, right there, just to make sure. So I don't look like a stupid Heat fan. Bam was the 14th pick. But still, like a Tyler Hero averaging 24, 5, and 5, like all career highs, like that makes more sense, right? He was the 14th pick, not the first. So I don't give a shit about that award anyway. It's stupid. So, yeah. So that was our top 8 that we had. Atlanta snuck in. They're just a perpetual playing team. So are the Chicago Bulls. So are the Miami Heat. Like those 3 teams, you should expect them to all be within that 7 to 10 range. So no surprises there. But let's look at the bracket real quick. I'm gonna share my screen again. And let's go to the East. We did this for the West. So, all right. 9-10. Bulls Heat. Who do you got in that game? Because you already know my answer.
Yeah, I know your answer. I'm disagreeing with you. I think Chicago has been playing better over the last 2 months. I'm not saying they're a good team. I just have seen more from them recently, and they're at home, so I'll take Chicago.
Wrong bet. I mean, I can very well see them. We're 0-3 against them this season. We lost to them on Wednesday. Winner would have been the 9th seed, which the Bulls won. So they're 9th seed, right? We could have got home court in the plan. Which matters. The Heat have to win 2 road games. But, yeah, the Bulls have our number, but I still think we have better players. We have Tyler Hero. We have Bam. We have Andrew Wiggins. We got some good pieces. It's one game. We'll see. We can get beat by 30 or we could beat them by 30. You never know with these mediocre teams. But
Good to disagree on something.
What's that?
It's good to disagree on something.
Yeah. I mean, we disagree with a decent amount of stuff. Technically, our picks weren't the same. We disagree technically with our 1 through 8, at least 30-40% of it. But anyway, next round would be, or the next, where am I at? Here we go. 7 and 8. We got Magic and the Hawks. I'm gonna go with the Magic, but that could be a close game too. I mean, the reason I go with Magic is because what's his name is out. what's his name from the Hawks? The rookie Jalen or second year man Jalen.
Dyson Daniels. Well, Jalen Johnson has been out, right?
Jalen Johnson has been out, but I'm saying that's big. Like if he was there, I could see the Hawks potentially winning. But I'll give the Magic the edge because of home court. They're obviously still a very good defensive team. I just think the Magic are going to pull it off. What do you think?
I agree. We both liked the Magic before the start of the season to be closer to 4-5, and they're starting to get healthy at this point in the season, and they got home court, like you mentioned. So I'll take the Magic.
Gotcha. Okay, and then who do you got between your opinion, Bulls and Hawks? That's an interesting one, kind of.
Bulls and Hawks is interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm gonna take the Hawks in that one. Trae Young is the best player on the court, so I'll take the Hawks. But it's a 50-50 game. If I'm being honest, I really think Chicago could make it into the playoff bracket. You're going with the Heat. We don't even need to talk about it against the Hawks.
The Heat versus the Hawks. Yeah, I'm taking the Heat. I would take Bulls over the Hawks too. I think honestly, Josh Giddey's been playing great this season. He's been solid. They've been playing really good basketball. Him and Kobe White.
Yeah.
Has been playing good. Whatever his last name is, the rookie, like that guy's been inserted into the starting lineup. Like he's looking really good. So they seem like a young, fun team. That's
I don't know how legit it is because in March everyone's tanking, so you're probably playing a bunch of bad teams and
true.
So
that is definitely a factor. But
you don't really know what these teams are, especially in the East when there's a lot of dead weight.
Right. All right. So you got the Hawks at 8 then technically, right? You have them over the Bulls. So
I picked the Hawks.
So you got who do you got? Okay, so Cavs over the Hawks, right?
Yeah.
I'll pick the Cavs over the Heat. I'm not delusional. I'm not going to say the Miami Heat are going to beat the Cavs, in a 7-game series. So, even some Heat fans would say so though on Twitter. Nobody wants to see
I don't think that's crazy delusional. I mean,
it's not crazy, but they're not going to beat the Cavs. Like, come on now. Like this Miami Heat team is so dysfunctional. Like they're so bad. They're a bad team. They had a 10-game losing streak just like 3 weeks ago. Like they've blown the most double-digit leads. Like they have the most games lost by 5 points, like also in this season. So it's like that's a testament of a bad team. They find ways to lose versus finding ways to win, right? So they just always F up. That's an average mediocre team. They're like 7 games below 500, right? So it's not impossible because it's the Cavs. Like if it was the Celtics,
I think the Cavs are a regular season team that kind of built up their record that way. If the Heat lean on their coaching and they don't have as much playoff experience, but they have some playoff experience with Hero and Bam. So
yeah,
I don't think it's crazy for Miami to actually make that an interesting series. If they got there, they'd have to win 2 games in the play-in, so they have to be locked in. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't think it's crazy personally.
I mean, I think it is as even as a Heat fan. Like,
yeah,
I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's crazy that you could be competitive. I think it's crazy thinking that you could beat them. Just look at the Cavs, the way they've been playing all year versus the way the Heat have been playing. Part of it is the Jimmy Butler drama. Part of it is adding 3 new players through the trade. Part of it is injuries. Part of it is just they're not good. They're not good anymore. Their best player is on the Warriors now, right? So they don't have actual like starters. They don't have the best guy on the court. Donovan Mitchell is the best player on the court. So, but that's the thing. Like Bam or Tyler could be number 2, right? Like I don't know if you want to say Mobley is, but I'm going to be biased and say no. I think I'd rather have Bam over Mobley. But anyway, next matchup. So 2-7. Who do we say? Hawks. So Celtics Magic. Excuse me. Obviously, I think we both got the Magic on that one.
Yeah.
Right? Which firepower?
Magic. Yeah.
What do you got for 4-5? That's an interesting one. It feels like the Pacers always have the Bucks' number. And
this is interesting. Yeah. They played in the first round last year.
Is Dame going to be back?
My understanding is Dame is unlikely to be able to make it back for this series, but maybe they're sending smoke signals. I don't know. Um, Pacers Bucks, they played last year in the first round, but it was Giannis that was injured and the
And
Bucks
Dame, or
lost.
Dame missed some games too. I think like
Dame was out towards the end of that series, yeah. But not having Giannis really gave the Bucks too much to deal with. This is an interesting series.
who do you got?
I'm gonna go with the Bucks here. I'm probably gonna be wrong, and I'm willing to admit that. But I think if Giannis is healthy, I think he's the best player on the court, and I think he's good enough to make this work. So I'm going to go with a slight upset here. I think most people would probably pick the Pacers because they think the Bucks are a lost cause if they're not having Giannis and Dame together. But I'm going to go Bucks here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Pacers. I just think the Pacers.
Yeah, no, I actually think the Pacers have played really well for like the most of the season. They're a good team. We saw what they did in the playoffs last year, so I'm going a little bit contrarian by taking the Bucks in this one.
Yeah, I just think because Dame's out, that's a big factor.
It is a big factor, but I think last year was the same matchup and Giannis was out, so maybe Giannis has a point to prove this year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Who do you got in that 3-6 matchup?
I think the Knicks are going to get pushed to 7 and win.
I'm gonna say the Pistons are gonna grow up in front of our eyes, and Cade is gonna become a superstar. Based on this playoffs, all he needs to do is win one round after going from what were they last season, 14 or something? Like, were they like the 14th seed last season? Let me double
It might
check.
have been the worst team in the league last year, but we both agree this is going to be a tough series for the Knicks. So
Oh yeah, they were the worst team. They were 15th, and also just the worst team. Them and the Wizards. Yeah, if he beats this team, he's a superstar in my opinion. Like,
okay.
yeah, would you agree?
Oh yeah, 100%. I already think he's on his way there as long as he stays healthy, and he proved he could stay healthy this whole year. So
Yeah, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a little bold.
nice.
Take
No, I
the
like that. We're on the same page that this is going to be a competitive series.
yeah. So you had Bucks Cavs.
Bucks, Cavs.
If
I'm
Dame
going
comes
to go
back,
with the Cavs in that one.
yeah. I'll go Cavs over Pacers too. What do you got for Knicks and Celtics? That could be interesting. I think
Knicks,
I think
Knicks,
I think Celtics win
and
against
hand.
Pistons. So
Knicks. Yeah, you had Pistons. I think we probably both agree Celtics are getting out of that one.
all right, who do you got? Celtics or Cavs? You stick with your
Celtics.
you and I both picked the Celtics. You
Yeah,
keep it.
I don't see the cat. I'm like probably lower than most on the Cavs, and I can't see them beating the Celtics in a 7-game series. If they did do that, I'll give them their flowers if they did that.
Yeah, I picked Boston though to go to the finals. I mean, Porzingis only played 42 games this season. He missed half the season, and he's back now. So
Yeah,
that's gonna be a huge boost. And look at their record without him. I mean, I don't like Jason Tatum, but he's obviously a top 10 player in the league. 26 in his prime, played 72 games, 27 points per game, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Like his playmaking has gotten better, even though I hate him. Yeah, I mean, I just think they're still a good team. I don't want to admit it because I hate the Celtics, but they're a solid ass team, and I just don't think the Cavs have enough firepower to beat them. Jaylen Brown, solid. His stats went down a little bit this year. Played less games this year too. So he played 63 versus 70. His numbers have been going down actually for the last.
no reason to like push the gas on the regular season. They're like, we want to stay healthy, be ready for the playoffs, and then we'll make another run. I'm actually 61 wins. That's pretty good for them. I thought
Yeah,
they'd
it
win.
makes sense too. You're right because
Five.
like 3 years ago, Jaylen Brown averaged 26.6 per game. So it makes sense when he's like, "Oh, we got KP and Drew Holiday coming in. Like obviously, I'm sure his usage went down slightly. Let's see his shots. Yeah, his shots went down from almost 21 field goals. This was 3 seasons ago to 18. So a couple less shots, nothing drastic, but still he probably is taking his foot off the gas too as well. Like to your point, he's like, all right, we got some good players. That formula worked last season. They won the championship because he went from 27 points almost to 23 last year, right? So his numbers went down and they went down a little bit this year. And his field goal attempts went down again, but not by much. He's like at 17.7, went down by like 0.2 percentage, but still, I think you're right. Maybe he's just taking his foot off the gas a little bit. But yeah,
hard to blame him for that. I mean, the Celtics have been in the East Finals like 4 or 5 years in a row.
yeah,
It's hard to be like a February game in the regular season against the Hornets. I'm going to be all about going balls to the wall, whatever it is.
yeah. All right, so let's do the finals prediction: Celtics or Thunder. We both picked the Thunder. I picked the Thunder just because I hate the Celtics. So you picked the Thunder as well before the season started.
I'm going to stick with it. The Thunder won both games in the regular season. I don't want to stray from what I thought in the regular season or in the off season. I got things wrong, but I'm gonna stick with it from the off season.
Yeah, I mean, we're not a debate show, so I'm going to stick with that too. And a lot of our picks could have been completely wrong, right? In terms of the seeds and also some of the earlier matchups, right?
Exact seed right. It's really hard to get exact seed right.
Well, of course, but still, we have an opportunity to obviously see a finals, based on our prediction is very likely. But it's also unlikely at the same time because the West is very deep and maybe someone else can come up through the West. I think in the East, it's very top heavy. So I think the only other team that could maybe come out.
That's what I was going to ask you, actually. So if you had to pick one team in the West and one team in the East that would make the finals that are not the Thunder or the Celtics, who would you pick?
Ooh, I would pick the Warriors just because since Jimmy Butler's been on that team, they're like 18-4, and like that was regular season Jimmy. If he's really going to try to prove a point against the Miami Heat's organization and saying like F you, right? Like, which he has done basically already this season, as he demanded a trade essentially. But he wants to show them wrong. Like, hey, you should have kept me. You should have gave me that extension this summer, right? Like look what I could have done for you guys. Like, or look what you didn't do for me is get a guy like Steph next to me. So it could be like kind of like a double middle finger to the Miami Heat, which I don't hate Jimmy Butler for what he did. I hated the way he did it, but I understand it like sucks, but like the front office effed up too, right? Like
where he goes.
He does that everywhere he goes, but they effed up by not getting that Dame trade. And it pisses me off the most because Dame is Steph light, and look what could have been. Look at that chemistry between the two, and it's not the exact same, but he still moves off ball like Steph. He can hit. He's the only guy that can hit the 3-ball like Steph. The same types of shots, right? The difficulty. Imagine Jimmy Bam.
That was sort of an agenda by the Portland GM. He didn't want to trade Dame to the Heat. I don't know.
Like Pat Riley was trying to fleece them and saying like, like we're gonna give you shit, like, and because Dame said only Miami and all that crap. So I'm just upset anyway in general, like on both ends. I'm upset at Jimmy. I'm upset at the Heat. I understand why the Heat don't want to give him $61 million next year and age 36 and 37. Like I totally get that because I could fuck up our team. Like we weren't gonna win anyway, so it's like you can't give him that money because you didn't improve the roster enough. You've been, playing Jimmy with undrafted dudes for the last 4 years, and with Bam and Tyler. Tyler's been hurt all the time in the playoffs, right? So it just hasn't been enough, So I get it on both ends, but I also it starts from the Heat organization. It's like more their fault, I think, than Jimmy's to a certain degree. He was a good soldier for 5 seasons, but I mean, Jimmy's also guilty for ending the things the way he did, right? Like, and taking his value. The Heat could have got a better package, if he just like asked to be traded quietly, right? Versus demanding to trade. So, but anyway,
yeah, this could be a whole like hour conversation about
Yeah, fuck that. I don't care about Jimmy Butler right now. I mean, I actually want him to win. I want the Warriors to win. Like
More
fuck
so
him,
than
but
the Lakers, I know that. That's for sure.
yeah, exactly. But I'm like f him. But like, I just want Jimmy to win a ring, man. Like, I loved him so much on this Miami Heat team. You know this. Like, you know how much I love Jimmy Butler, and those crazy runs, taking us to the finals twice and almost getting there with like worse teams, right? Obviously, like not having the true support he needed. No one thought Jimmy Butler would take any of these Miami Heat teams to the finals, right? Like, it's just like he became a superstar, like with this Miami Heat team. Like, he became playoff Jimmy with this team. Like, he was a top 20 player. He became like a top 5 player, like with this Miami Heat team, especially in the playoffs. Top more than that. Top 10 in the regular season, top 3 in the playoffs, like over his 5-year span. So I love him. I want the Warriors to win, so I'll pick the Warriors in the West. Um, I don't know. Like, can Giannis have that chip on his shoulder? And like, if Dame comes back, maybe. But I don't know. I feel like the Cavs are just like very cohesive, you know. And again, the better teams in the regular season also play well usually in the playoffs. Like they're a number one seed and by far the number one seed compared to others outside of the Celtics for a reason. You know, they're a very very good team and they have a lot of good pieces around Donovan Mitchell that fits well. So I guess I'll go Cavs in the East.
I agree with Cavs in the East. Personally, I was going with the Lakers in the West. I just you have Luca. I mean, Luca's as good as it gets in the
Yeah,
playoffs.
he's
He's
he's fat though. He's out of shape, right? Nico Harris. Is it Harrison or Harris?
it's Harrison. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's fat,
I
right?
mean, someone paid him to be the GM of the Mavericks, thinking he knew basketball, but clearly he doesn't know ball. So
No, he knows basketball. It's the NBA Illuminati saying you have to fucking rig it and give the Lakers a free gift for the next 10 years, right? Like, LeBron's going to retire probably next year or 2 years from now, max. Like, okay, here's your next gifted superstar, right? It's not Harrison.
somehow, some way, the Lakers are always the beneficiary of the Illuminati's workings.
It's the other basketball mecca out of New York, right? It's like the other biggest market, right? I mean, screw saying New York's the mecca of basketball. Freaking the mecca of basketball is Los Angeles and Boston, technically, if you want to go there, right? Even though I hate both those teams, Lakers more so. Even though you can ask half of the Boston Celtics fans and Lakers fans, like, oh yeah, name a player on any of those like championships from the 40s and 50s. Like, how many teams were on in the NBA in the 50s and 60s, right? Like, I bet you like half the Boston Celtics. I'm not going to speak on all of them, right? There's obviously diehard legit fans, but like, did they realize there was 9 teams in the league, like in the 50s and stuff, in the 60s, and 13 teams? Like that does play a factor. And like, black people weren't able to play basically basketball like in the 50s. So take that for a grain of salt. But yeah, fuck the Lakers. Fuck the Boston Celtics big time too as well, but F the Lakers more. So I knew you were going to go with the Lakers based on our last video, obviously. As you mentioned, you thought they could possibly beat the Thunder. So that all makes sense. But yeah, anyway, Neil, thanks for hopping on. This was a fun series, obviously. So we'll see if we're right. We'll see if our predictions are right this time. And, I think the Thunder are going to pull it off this season. I hope they do. I actually, no, I don't hope they do. I kind of want the Warriors to do it, but I think the Thunder is actually going to do it. I'm sorry. I still hope Jimmy Butler wins the championship.
It's been a great video. Looking forward to the playoffs.
All right. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, everyone. Thank you for watching.